In every era, humanity searches for leaders, people who rise above ego, ambition, and chaos to shape a better future. But true leadership is rare. And yet, more than 2 centuries ago, in a world young, unstable, and uncertain, one man stepped forward with a steady hand and a steady heart. His name was George Washington, the warrior, the farmer, the revolutionary, the president who didn't want power but took it because his country needed him, the man who could have been king but chose to remain a citizen. Today, in a world louder, faster, and more divided than ever, his leadership still echoes across time. Not because he was flawless, but because he understood something we often forget. Leadership is not about control. It's about character. This is the story of why George Washington's leadership still matters today, perhaps now more than ever. The man who led by example. Before Washington was a legend, he was simply a man trying to prove himself. Raised in Virginia, without the elite education of other founding fathers, Washington learned leadership not in lecture halls, but on battlefields, in muddy encampments, and in long nights spent questioning his own decisions. What made him stand out wasn't brilliance, it was discipline. He showed it in the French and Indian War, where he fought in brutal wilderness campaigns. He showed it at Valley Forge, where thousands starved and froze while he stayed in the same conditions, refusing special treatment. Modern leadership often crumbles because leaders ask others to endure what they avoid themselves. Washington did the opposite. Even today, the idea of leading by example is one of the most powerful forms of influence. Washington proved you can command armies, inspire nations, and build institutions simply by living the values you demand from others. He didn't have charisma like Jefferson. He didn't have dazzling intellect like Hamilton. But he had presence, an aura of reliability that made others follow him not out of fear, but out of trust. In a world hungry for trustworthy leadership, Washington's example is a reminder: people follow character, not titles. The courage to hold a fragile nation together. During the American Revolution, Washington led a group of underfed, undertrained volunteers against the world's strongest empire. And for years, he lost battles, lost men, lost supplies, but he never lost resolve. At times, the revolution barely survived. Recruitment failed, mutinies erupted, Congress collapsed under its own uncertainty, and the British believed the American rebellion was collapsing. But Washington held the center. Through his calm, he prevented chaos. Through his determination, he made victory possible long before it arrived. Today's world, often overwhelmed with crisis, political instability, economic uncertainty, global conflict, teaches us the same lesson. Sometimes leadership is not about winning decisively, but refusing to break when everything else does. Washington didn't fight for glory. He fought because the idea of freedom demanded someone to fight for it. His leadership endures because it wasn't reactive. It was foundational. He understood something many leaders forget. When the stakes are highest, calm becomes power. The genius of knowing when to rely on others. Leadership is often portrayed as standing alone, but Washington's greatest strength was humility. He didn't try to do everything himself. He didn't pretend to be the smartest in the room. He recognized the talents of others and empowered them. He trusted Nathaniel Greene to rebuild the Southern Army. He trusted Henry Knox with artillery. He trusted Alexander Hamilton with strategy and later finance. He trusted Lafayette to secure French support. Washington built one of the most diverse, strategic leadership teams in history, and he listened to them. Modern leaders who micromanage, isolate, or surround themselves with yes-men collapse under their own arrogance. Washington thrived because he practiced collaborative leadership before the term existed. His lesson for today is clear. A great leader doesn't try to be the best at everything, just the best at bringing the right people together. The discipline of power. Why he refused to become king. Perhaps no act defines Washington's leadership more than what he didn't do. At the end of the Revolution, he held absolute power, Command of the army, loyalty of the people, authority unmatched by any figure in the new nation. He could have made himself king. Many expected him to. Some even urged him to. Instead, he walked away. He resigned, returned to his farm, and became a private citizen. King George III supposedly said, "If he does that, he will be the greatest man in the world." Washington understood a timeless truth. Power is only meaningful when it is willingly restrained. In a world where leaders cling to control, politicians, CEOs, influencers, Washington's legacy whispers, "True leadership isn't proven by how you take power, but how you give it up." His voluntary surrender of power set a precedent that shaped democracies worldwide. His example matters today because democracy itself depends on leaders who know when to step back, not just step forward. A president who refused to rule like a king. When Washington became the first president of the United States, he faced a blank page. No script, no precedents, no traditions. Everything he did would become the blueprint. So he approached the presidency with caution, balance, and humility. He never rushed decisions. He never acted impulsively. He surrounded himself with opposing viewpoints, even heated, conflicting ones. He created the cabinet system. He stabilized the economy. He navigated foreign threats without plunging the nation into war. He stepped down after 2 terms, establishing a limit honored for more than a century. Washington's leadership in office shaped what the American presidency would become, not a throne, but a temporary trust. Today, as political systems worldwide face division, polarization, and power struggles, Washington's example offers 3 timeless lessons. Leaders are guardians, not owners. Restraint is as important as action. Institutions matter more than individuals. His presidency was not defined by ego but by responsibility, a rare quality then, and rarer today. Humility as a form of strength. Washington was admired, respected, even idolized, but he remained deeply human. He made mistakes, many. He struggled with self-doubt. He sometimes lost control of his temper. He wrestled with decisions, prayed for guidance, and questioned himself constantly. But he never pretended to be perfect. He carried himself with dignity, but not vanity, authority, but not arrogance, honor, but not superiority. Modern leadership often rewards bravado, swagger, and self-promotion. Washington demonstrated something far more powerful. Humility earns lasting loyalty. Arrogance earns short-term obedience. His quiet strength still resonates because it reminds us that leadership begins not with pride, but with perspective. The legacy that still shapes the world. Why does Washington's leadership still matter today? Because the challenges he faced, division, fear, uncertainty, conflicting visions of the future, mirror our own world. When nations struggle, people look for examples of leadership rooted in integrity, not ambition. Washington teaches us, lead through action, not rhetoric. Stay calm in moments of crisis. Empower others instead of controlling them. Restrain power when possible. Use it when necessary. Place values above personal gain. These principles apply not only to presidents and generals, but to anyone leading a business, a community, a team, a family, a movement, a life. Washington's leadership matters today because it is leadership grounded in timeless qualities, not trends, not popularity, not ego. In a world where leadership feels fragile, Washington shows us what it looks like when leadership becomes the anchor. Conclusion: the leader for every generation, narrator, soft, reflective. George Washington was not superhuman. He wasn't the best strategist, the best speaker, or the best thinker of his time, but he was the leader a fragile nation desperately needed, a man who could rise above personal ambition, a man who put country above self, a man who knew that power is dangerous in the wrong hands, even his own, a man whose humility strengthened his authority, not weakened it. His leadership still matters today because it is rare, timeless, and deeply human. And as the world continues to search for leaders worthy of trust, Washington's example stands like a lighthouse in history, steady, silent, and still guiding us toward what leadership can be at its very best. If you found this story fascinating, like, share, and subscribe to Timeless Questions channel, where we explore the civilizations, ideas, and mysteries that shaped humanity.